Everyone wants more money, but most of us weren't taught how to create an abundant life. That's where the law of attraction, manifesting success stories show comes in. If you are ready to have more money, create more freedom, and experience more fun, turn the volume up. It's time to learn how to create the prosperity and life you have been dreaming of. Here's your host, Cassie Parks.
Hello and welcome to this episode. I am your host, Cassie Parks, and I am back with Jeanne Andrus for her 16th interview in the what is now the Years of Growth series. So welcome, Jeanne.
Hi, Cassie. How are you?
I'm fabulous. First and foremost, tell us how your future self has been showing up.
My future self is actually going tomorrow on a 2-day trip to Tampa, Florida, actually Anna Maria Island, Florida, to visit with my half-sister whom I have never met except via the magic of Zoom. And I am so excited to be doing that, and so excited that what I do in my life now affords me the opportunities to just jump on a plane and go and meet a sister or go to a party or run a race or whatever it is. I don't have to think about it. I just do it.
I love it. That's awesome. So that also covers the, usually the next question, which is what is awesome? So I love
What is awesome?
And so we're just going to jump into it. So what else is awesome is that last interview, if you all heard, was actually a live coaching session, right? Because Jeanne graciously volunteered to be coached publicly in the middle of all of it, which is awesome because it's going to come out so far in the past that it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love it. And so let's talk about, we decided we wouldn't do any pre-interview stuff. We would just jump in here, which is tell us what's happened in the month between that coaching session and now.
Well, if you listened to the last coaching session, you heard me talk about feeling really unsure as to whether or not I was really supposed to be doing this and whether I was getting anywhere and whether I was just a total, flake and not capable of doing what I think I wanted to do and was a stupid anyway. And we talked about it. And at the end of the coaching session, I was clear. I was very clear that this is what I'm supposed to be doing in the world. This is why I have had every experience I've had up till now brings me to this point where I can change women's lives. I can make the years from 45 or 42 or 48 or whenever you walk into my circle and start hearing about how menopause isn't a curse. It's not misery. It doesn't suck. It's really something that's an amazing adventure and blessing in your life. And so everything brought me to the point where that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And I know that now. And I'll forget it again probably next week. But it really shows how important the relationship is with somebody who can sit down and not only you help me not only with the business side of things, but with the side of things that says, am I really meant to do this? Am I supposed to be here? So from that point, September is Menopause Awareness Month. You're probably not hearing this 3 weeks from September, but for me, that's a huge chunk of my ability to get out there and be noticed, because it gives me a focus and a goal to help women, particularly in this month where if I say it's Menopause Awareness Month, and it really is, I'm not making this up, it helps me to tell people that they should be aware, they should understand, they should get the information they need. So for the month of September, I'm opening up my classroom to any woman anywhere who wants to come in and learn something about what their body is taking them through and why that's so amazing, such an amazing thing. So I did some things to get my name out here locally a little more, and I'm doing this whole series from the 31st of August. We leaked into the very beginning of August, all the way through the last day of September, with seminars and Facebook Lives and videos and posts and anything else people want to do to contact me and ask about what's going on with their body. And I feel energized in a way that I haven't in a very long time.
Mm-hmm. I love it. And I think you said something important, and a lot of things important in there. Number one was that you'll probably have to find that clarity again, right?
Over and over.
Over and over, right? Yes, this is because I think we're always given the option to get out, but it's the choice that we make to move forward. Like, yep, this is it, right? And getting that clarity over and over again helps staying in the journey better, right? Every time we make that decision, we get stronger and we know more. Like,
yes,
this is who I'm supposed to be. And then we can step into our future selves more.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is
so the
awesome.
other thing that's happened since then was I did the and actually it was funny because you and I talk a lot about how I will grow and then I will hit a point where that terrifies me, and it's terrifying on a level that I'm not even aware of. And so I did one of your workshops, which I try and do at least once a quarter, and I had a really, really, really good connecting experience with my future self. And then I scared myself from the time we ended that until just shortly after. And wow, it was interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting. And so for those of you, timeline wise, Monday was our coaching, the last session that we did as a coaching interview, coaching interview session. And then, we coached through that. And on Thursday you came, and I want to share this because it's so important. You came to that call, and as a coach, I had everything prepared. I'd actually done some research. I'd made some spreadsheets, and because something I said to you was, your computer, go put this in a spreadsheet and look at this before we did the coaching session. Right. Or maybe that was different. I don't know. Anyway, I came ready, to coach you through that. And what was awesome is that you came ready to do the work.
Yeah. I I had already done everything. I don't know that I actually did the spreadsheets. Which
is fine.
There was a point at which I said to myself, wait a minute, this works. Your future self knows this works. I know this works because she knows this works. And you just need to sit down and do the work. I had a brilliant, quote, brilliant idea and brought it to one of the calls on Monday, and you told me, no, that's not what you, just go and do what we've been talking about doing. You're just going off on a tangent in order to stop being this, to feel less scared. And when you said that, I got totally pissed. Honestly, I was mad. I was like, and I went home and I went off and just bitched and moaned in my head all afternoon. And then I realized, no, you don't. That's not what you need to do. What you need to do is settle down and get ready and go. And so I got ready for our Thursday meeting with all the stuff that we needed to set forward in the plan that we'd already talked about.
Yeah. And that was so awesome. And so what I call it, because I call them when I have a moment like that, right, where I know it's right, but I just, wanted to do it anyway. It was, I put it as, you can solve your own temper tantrums now.
Yeah, that's probably it. I mean, it was one of those times when I just needed to get a little mad about not having it done yet, not having everything perfect yet, because I'd like to think that I was great at marketing and great at all of this stuff, but it's hard. It isn't easy to do any of this stuff, and it's so important to get it right.
Mm-hmm.
That it was just sort of like you said, a temper tantrum.
And I think well, I don't know that everybody, I think there's probably styles of growth. I know for sure mine is temper tantrum. Like I'll throw the temper tantrum and then I'll come back to myself and my future self and say, okay, like you're right. Here's what we need to do. Right. Very similar to what you did. And so it was awesome that you did that, because in the past, well, first of all, I think as you were talking, I want to highlight this part. You've really learned how to feel on a whole other level. So you could go off and be angry without having a story.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't hear one time where you added the old story of I can't do this. I can't. It was just angry about the moment instead of adding all of these other layers that don't mean anything onto it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which was the key to getting through it fast.
Yeah, because I got through it and then spent the rest of the week working before our Thursday coaching call, where I had a whole slew of stuff ready for you to take a look at and what I wanted to accomplish during that meeting, and being able to talk to my future clients and having my future self responding to my future clients. And it was a totally different kind of experience for me, where in the past I've had to wait for a coaching call or wait for a Enchanted Circle call in order to express what I was feeling and get you to help me work through it.
Mm-hmm. It was awesome. One of my favorite coaching moments, right? Because it was like, okay, yeah, let's get to work. And you had probably done more work in the 3 days between I'm just going to call it the tantrum because I like that.
Yeah.
Call it for me. In between that and our Thursday coaching call than you had done in a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because she showed up.
And it's been, since that time, I have been incredibly productive.
Uh-huh.
I have some stuff going on that's just amazing. I can't wait to share it with my clients. I've got 31 days of amazing content mapped out for my clients, and starting to outline all of that and record all of that and make sure that it's fabulous for them.
Yes. How does it feel to be that person, to have stepped into that person?
It feels so much better, because I know there's been a lot of stuff that I've needed to do in order to actually start reaching people.
Mm-hmm.
But the part of me that says, oh, you have to go back and redo all of this stuff with Cassie every single time, was the part of me that was feeling less than competent.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth of the matter is, we write from the place we've become, and we don't always hear it with the ears of who we were.
Yes.
And so for any of us, I don't know if it's, I mean, I guess there are people out there who can just reel off copy that just hits their ideal client time after time after time. But it seems to me that you're learning how to say that by having someone listen and say, this is okay, this isn't okay. And if you're coaching a whole bunch of people every day, you're getting that. And for me, that some of that comes from reading on the online groups, but I coach around so many topics.
Mm-hmm.
Menopause has so many symptoms, so much going on, that I can't always grab the words that go around anxiety, or the words that go around sleeplessness, or the words that go around hot flashes or weird symptoms, or whatever it is. It's all the same cause. It's all the same underlying cause. And you go about dealing with it in very much the same way. But the words kind of have to hit a little differently for each one of those people. So it's not like I can find just one ideal client.
Right. Well, and that's, I love that you brought that up, that some people can just write the copy, right? And I truly believe the more I do this for myself and the more I do this for clients like you and everyone else that's in the business circle and in the enchanted circle is, I say this about my business, like you don't show up, stuff starts moving when you show up in my world. Like you don't show up to sort of pretend you're doing something. And a lot of times when we buy a product or we buy this, our intention is to do it, but we're not really ready at the space where we're doing like that big thing. And I think that people can write copy when it's a one-off product, but it doesn't hold the space of long-term change and long-term growth. And for you and for me, you're wanting your business holds clients for a long time. You're not teaching them one little simple thing and just, do this thing. You are teaching them how to become a different person in the grand scheme of things. We don't say that up front, right? But that is what it is.
No, we tell them they can be themselves again.
Right. and that's all understanding them, and it's all understanding the path to paying client, right? But when you have a business that is setting up to serve people for the long term, who isn't just supposed to be a Band-Aid or a quick fix or this one little thing and then you move on, you have to speak to them differently because you have to open a different space.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you can't do the one-off copy like maybe somebody who can, right? Just write this copy, because they're just, a lot of times they're trying to help. I don't think that they're not trying to help people. They're solving a quick problem, right? Or giving them tools to solve a problem. But the thing is that there's so much more behind that problem. Like if you can't write an email sequence in your business, it's often not because you don't know how to write or you don't know what your business is. It's because there's this person you haven't become yet. And you don't know how to connect to that person who you're also bringing along on your journey.
Yeah. And I think too, I look at a lot of copywriters or people who have good, enticing copy around their offer. And I think a lot of times they're looking to get 1,000 people in and to hold 5 of them for a long term.
Right.
And for me, that doesn't cut it. It's helping a person for that short term isn't enough, because this is real. This isn't even weight loss. Weight loss can be real. It can be really real for people, and they can really be struggling and feeling bad about themselves. But when a woman gets stuck in menopause, they can lose half their life. And I've literally talked to people who are suicidal and don't want to live anymore. They don't want to live this way anymore. So we're not talking about, oh, you're going to get 16 clients instead of 10 or 5. And that's important.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I realize, I sit back and I think about the importance of what I do, and it's really giving people their lives back.
Mm-hmm. And like you said,
a whole new one too.
a whole new, but it's giving 50%. I mean, right? So, and that's real time. So somebody like you that you're describing, oftentimes their marriage gets in trouble. Oftentimes they lose a connection with their kids because either they're depressed or they don't care, which is all hormonal and things.
They're angry or they're anxious or whatever it is, they're not connecting with their world anymore. They lose. I did it. I lost a job. I lost my house. I lost my husband. That was probably not a bad thing. When I first wrote, interestingly enough, when I first wrote my story to go on my first website, I called the story "And Then the Dog Died" because it felt like a country song where, I lost my husband, I lost my son, I lost my house, I lost my job, and then the dog died. And actually, I really did lose my dog, and it's kind of facetious, but she was part and parcel of this whole thing, was losing that particular dog. And so it can be really, really devastating for women. So my goal is to help them get to a point where they are ready to rebuild their lives, and then to help them with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whether the husband, the dog, the job all stay, sometimes that's keeping that, right? And sometimes
I hope so.
Your goal is to prevent that country song from happening to other women, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And then helping them build that second half as they want it to be, and maybe have never even thought of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cassie, can I ask you to pause the recording for just a moment?
Sure. All right. So we're back after a quick break where Jeanne checked on her dog. And so we're really talking about women building the second half of their lives.
Right.
Yeah. And so now I think we could talk about this now, because when I initially take my clients through how to find their path to paying client, right? We start at the beginning and at the end. And what I find is most people, the problem with people who want to make real change in the world, like you, who want to really support someone for the long term, right? And give them, because rebuilding someone's life is a big deal. 50 years is a big deal, right? To show them how to enjoy that 50 years instead of maybe go through the things that their mom and their grandma did where they didn't live that second half super happy, right?
Yes.
And what you always wanted to start with was that stuff at the end, the rebuilding their life, right?
Well, I think, it's funny because as long as I've been around coaching and coaches who teach coaching and things like that, everybody wants to. And it's funny because I'm still in a couple of these oddball groups that I got into when I was searching for the magic bullet. And it's so funny. People are doing one group is about 5-day challenges. And you and I have talked about the cleanse isn't a challenge because the people who work with me don't want to be challenged. They want to be they want a spa day.
Right. They don't want any more challenges, right? Your client is not going to sign up, anyone paying you is not going to sign up for a challenge because their life is already full of challenges that they didn't see coming.
But what's funny is to see all these people, and my challenge. So I see all these people who say things like, I help women get into better relationships, and so my 5-day challenge is how to get better self-love in 5 days. And I keep sending, and I try not to get terribly caught up in this, and I keep sending them little messages. Your person who wants a relationship does not care about self-love. They care about how to get the hot man that they just met.
Yeah.
And so, actually the funny thing is I've actually seen somebody who's like all about just really getting the man you want. And it's like, no, you're not doing that right either. But that's okay. But it is, it's like, we can't teach self-love until we get rid of the hot flashes.
Yes. That is music to my ears because you didn't always believe that, right?
No, I actually started this wanting to teach adventure and bravery.
Right.
And nobody wants to be adventurous or brave when they're having a hot flash. They just want the freaking hot flash to go away.
Right. Yeah. And what does it mean to get that? Like you get that on that level now, right?
It means that if I didn't really think I had a calling to be a menopause coach, I could probably be a halfway decent business coach. But yeah, it's like, oh, now you can talk to women and help them change their lives.
Yes. Because you can see the beginning and the end, right?
Absolutely.
You help them get over their hot flashes and maybe some anxiety and get through depression, and they're feeling really good. They might want to follow you down a rock wall.
Right.
Rappel down a cliff.
A waterfall, which is what I'm hoping to do in 2 weeks.
I love it, right? Then they're ready for that.
Yeah.
But you couldn't sell them, right? There was no get ready for a rappelling challenge. There was no, be a woman in your 40s who goes out and gets it, because they don't have the capacity at the beginning to do that.
Yeah, and one of the things that's been interesting to me recently is reading some posts from entrepreneurial women who got, well, some women who like did the entrepreneurial thing to deal with the fact that they wanted to stay home with their kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get into their mid-40s and they say, I just don't care about this anymore. I'm just exhausted. And they don't realize that that's menopause hitting them. And then the other thing that's been going on lately is this whole series of articles have been coming out about midlife crises for women, which are different than midlife crises for men, because they're more about, they aren't about losing their femininity. It's about losing themselves, losing who they knew, their identity as mothers, and in some cases as career builders, let's say. Mm-hmm. And so it's interesting to see that even people who are relatively enlightened about this don't get it. They don't see that it's their body saying to them, it's time to move to the next phase.
Right. So let's just, I'm going to put you on the spot, and I think you're going to do awesome. So let's start with that woman, because we have not worked on a client similar to this, because this is a newer thing coming up. Eventually we will make a whole email and do something for this woman in her 40s who started a business to stay at home and now doesn't care. So if you're going to write a Facebook post to her, what would the headline be?
Probably something like, hey, is your business failing to excite you? And that's probably the wrong words, but something to the effect of, have you lost your excitement and enthusiasm for your business?
Mm-hmm. And then what would you let's just go through. How would we connect with her? How would we take her through the process?
So then the next thing would be, if you're a woman in your 40s and you started a business to be home with your kids, and now you're finding that maybe you're not so sure about this entrepreneur thing. This is pretty normal. This is what happens to us in menopause. And I would write this, and then you would tear it apart and we would rewrite it together. So I would say something to the effect of, it's normal for women to want to shift their focus when they get into their 40s or 50s, and maybe tackle something different than what they had done in their reproductive years. And then I would explain how that I'd use my signature line, you're not going crazy, your hormones are.
Yes.
And I'd explain that it has to do with how our hormones are shifting us from this person who was building one thing to maybe thinking about what it is we really, really want to do. And for some women, this may be that that maybe they started out with an idea to be an artist, and they became a business coach because there was better money in it, and now they're sitting here and their art is calling to them again. Mm-hmm. And so it might be that they're ready to shift into a person who does art, or some sort of combination between art and business that allows them to be more of who they are at their base, at their core.
Absolutely. What do you think if we were going to do an opt-in for this person? What's hit you as top of their head is what they would want? Or would they just want to talk about it?
So I think it would be something of the nature of 5 ways to reconnect with the business you love.
Yeah. And why would she sign up for that?
Because she wants to be that enthusiasm back. Mm-hmm. And again, she thinks it's somewhere in her that she has done something wrong, that she doesn't love this business anymore.
Yeah. And so what would you tell her in the emails?
So I would tell her that it's normal to shift your focus. I would tell her that this might be something that was, and you're really putting me on the spot with this one.
I know. I love it.
So there would be one that talks about how normal it is for us to shift our focus and go back and grab things from our past. And that perhaps what she might be looking for is a way to move forward, reintegrating some of those things into her business or her daily life. Some people don't have the luxury, some people don't have the luxury of walking away from a job or a business that they've built. And so they do need to bring those things back in, or find a way to have them on the outside of their lives, on less, maybe a little closer to the middle than they used to be.
Yeah. I love it. And then you would eventually offer her a chance to talk to you about making that plan, right?
Right. And honestly, for this woman, it kind of depends on whether or not she has a bunch of symptoms. She may not have a bunch of symptoms. Mm-hmm. Often women who are fully engaged in their lives and in their business, some of them don't wind up fairly symptom-free. And the reason they do that is that they are taking care of themselves and they are fulfilling themselves through this business that they've gotten. Whereas others have been so focused on making this business work that they're not taking care of themselves. They're not eating right. They're not exercising. They're not taking time out for themselves because they're so focused on making this business work that they are more symptomatic, because the symptoms come from both our physical, caring for our physical body in the right way, and also caring for our emotional, mental well-being in the same way. So people who come from this line might find themselves being offered not create your own menopause survival plan, but being offered straight into a 6-month program where we would relook at integrating everything. Or I might even need a little bit, something that's more hybrid. I don't even know.
I love it. And what I love about this whole thing is, number one, I would give you an A+ for connecting to that client and being able to map that out like on the spot, right? It's amazing because, and I want to go back to this, I want to come back to this in a second. Well, first of all, I want to celebrate that you wouldn't even have seen this client, or I think had the confidence to say this out loud. Like, this stuff that's going on in business is menopause.
Yes.
Right? I think you've seen both of these, this midlife crisis and this entrepreneurial woman, like, because of who you've become, you can see them.
Yes.
Yeah. Which I think is amazing. That is such a sign of growth. And it's also, just often, I think, until you become that person and you step into that, we don't fully see our clients. And whether these become some of your clients or the majority of our clients, who knows? But it's a big deal that you can see, oh, there's even more on the table, doing exactly what you're doing, not doing something different, right?
Yeah.
And so you can see her, you can outline what she needs. As a coach, you go, well, I have this, I love this, because you're like, okay, she doesn't probably need that 6-week, and I can jump her into the program, which is cool, because in the beginning you wanted somebody that you could take and you could do all the things you do in your 6-month program with.
Mm-hmm.
But we had to add that beginning part, because again, if you're having hot flashes, you can't build your life. But if this woman just is ready to create a new version of her life, she can go right into that. And it's so awesome to hear you see that.
Yes.
And be in service to her, right? Well, this doesn't fit, so this is what's for her.
Yeah. And honestly, there's always some tweaking you can do with diet and exercise, but it doesn't have to be. It's not for some people, they've got that figured out and ready to go, and others really need that support.
Mm-hmm. I love it. So we've just outlined a whole other paying client to add, which is super fun.
Which is good, because you'll have to send me the recording link early so that I can go back and put that in. And actually, interestingly enough, I will be talking directly to that person towards the end of September.
Which is completely awesome. I have this question in the back of my mind. How does it feel to know, like, to not go off on a tangent, like, oh, I could go do this and I can make money. You know, you're like, I'm not a business coach. How does it feel to be that clear about that?
Actually, I've always been pretty clear about not being a business coach, because, I mean, there are people I help. I'll see something that's going on and I'll give them a tweak or something. And it's mostly recycled, of course, from you and from Angela and from other people that I've worked with in the past, and just being able now to see that. But it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like this is something I want to do, or building websites, which I can do. And no, I'm not a graphic artist. That's one thing I'm not. Absolutely plain. But knowing that I could help somebody build a website or start a mailing list or whatever it is, I know that my focus, that the thing that I do uniquely better than anybody in the world, is get people through menopause without HRT. Hormone replacement therapy, for those of you who don't like that abbreviations.
That's awesome. I love it. In addition to stepping into your future self, like, what do you think is the biggest shift that's happened over the last 30 days? And it could be stepping into your future self, but what's the biggest thing that's happened so that we hear you showing up today fully as your future self, fully as the woman who can now, I think, has the ability really to outline almost any client that she wants to serve, like take her through the path?
So I think the biggest thing in the last 30 days is, after the workshop, I actually did some scripting that felt better probably than anything else I've ever scripted. And it involved just spending the day with my grandson as a 9-year-old instead of as a 4-year-old, which I get to do in a couple weeks. But there was just this release of, yes, you can fit all of this stuff together, and no, you don't have to go to Scotland to have fun, or you don't have to be someone who owns a $2 million mansion. You can have your house here in Louisiana, and you can have a space in New Hampshire, and you can do all of that and still make plenty of money for you and Jesse to get through whatever we wanted to do, and still have plenty of time and space for the people who are in my life. And a couple of weeks ago, we were working on some exercise, and basically you asked me what would my most awesome life be, and I said my life revolves around my family, not my work. And I think once I owned that, it's given me a whole new enthusiasm for my my business and making it work in the right amount of space for it.
Yeah. Because I would say that's what you always wanted, but you were trying to make it happen through your business.
Yeah.
And it's all the same, right? We're going to do the same things, but the energy is different when you own my life. My future life is about my family, and my business supports that, versus my future life trying to make it happen is about my business, and I get to spend time with my family.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. So we're going to wrap up for today. I'm looking forward to the next interview, obviously, because we will be starting. We'll be a couple days into your menopause awareness month and your 31 days of sharing. Any final thoughts you want to share today?
Cassie, I probably don't say it often enough, but thank you. Thank you for being my future client. Thank you for listening with that ear that's given me the opportunity to speak directly to a human who's listening with those ears and willing to give me that feedback. Thank you for putting up with my meltdowns and temper tantrums and stupid stuff and fears. It's been an amazing journey, and I can't recommend it highly enough.
My pleasure. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you, for keep showing up, because this isn't always easy.
No.
Yeah. So if someone heard something you said and they are feeling that knack to check you out, tell them how they can connect with you.
They can find me on my website, menopause.guru, or they can email me at Jeanne, which is spelled Jeanne, for those of you who don't live in Cajun country, at menopause.guru.
Awesome. Make sure to check out Jeanne, and of course, make sure to come back and check out her next interview to hear what all is awesome in her life. Hey, it's Cassie. Just wanted to say a quick thank you for tuning in today and enjoying the magic and story, the power that comes from listening to someone else get what they want. It really opens your mind up for you getting what you want. If you would like more of that and you haven't checked out Manifest It Now yet, I would love you to do so. Search Manifest It Now on your favorite podcast app, and you'll hear me and my friend Jenny talking all things living law of attraction. That's Manifest It Now on any podcast app.
Thank you for joining us on the Law of Attraction Manifesting Success Stories show. To learn how to attract more money into your life, go to your favorite book retailer and order Cassie's book, Manifest $10,000.